Now, criminal law attorney Clifford Alexander joins us in the studio to unpack this week's proceedings, but particularly looking ahead to today's final arguments. Cliff, good morning and thank you very much for coming in.
Morning, Dan.
If you were defense, what would you be focusing your final arguments on today?
Dan, definitely the mitigating circumstances pertaining to the particular facts surrounding this case. It's an individual case. You cannot equate it to any other cases. It's the first Paralympian as such that we've ever had. Oscar's particular circumstances are unique. He's a paraplegic. I would probably be focusing on that he did show remorse. The judge has already indicated that he was remorseful. He cried after the time he carried Reva down. He phoned the necessary police, he phoned ambulances, etc., etc. I'd concentrate on that. I'd concentrate on the fact, and I'd mention it, the fact that 6,000 Rand a month was being given by Oscar to Reva's parents on a monthly basis. This came out during the address pertaining to sentence. Very, very important factor. That is indicative of remorse to an extent. You know, they were dependent on Reva, and that's going to go a long way. That's a feather in his cap, and we've got to give him credit for that. As to the aspect of the prisons, I think Annette Vergeer's report, as opposed to Mr. Modise's report, fell rather short. I think they're going to have a problem in that regard, justifying why he cannot be imprisoned. I think they'll be looking particularly at section 2761I. They might try for H, which is 3 years, maximum
what
of 3 years.
Section say?
Section 276(1)I is in the Criminal Procedure Act. That relates to him serving house arrest. That would be the simplest way. The maximum that can impose there is 3 years, correctional supervision. I relates to a maximum of 5 years, of which you've got to serve 1/6. They might look at that. In other words, you'll serve 1/6, 8 months in the hospital section, as Mr. Modise has already testified. Thereafter, at the discretion of the Commissioner, he can be released. I think they might find themselves in a bit of a predicament, given the fact that they, to a large extent, have tarnished prison services when it comes to the discretion that's got to be exercised. That might come back to haunt them if the judge were to go that way. The judge could, of course, go the other way and say direct imprisonment. The advocate, Barry Rue, he's phenomenal in arguments. There's no doubt about it. If you just looked at his heads of argument per se, in whether he should be convicted or not, fantastic heads of argument, and all credit to him. The heads of argument are going to be handed in. What is important for your viewers to note as well is the roles are now reversed. It is now the defense who goes first. It's not the state who goes first. During proving who was guilty or not, the state went first and then the defense. Now the roles have reversed. Defense goes first and then the state comes in. That's why Harry yesterday said, when are we going to receive the heads of argument? I'm sure that you heard that yesterday. And Advocate Barry Rue said, no, we're nearly finished, just touch up and we'll let you have them.
Okay, we've made the point about the defense. Now, Gerrie Nel, what would he be saying now in aggravation of sentence as he finally concludes his arguments?
Well, yes, he probably referred to Kim Martin's testimony, the harrowing testimony that we heard, how the family per se has been torn apart, the effects on them. Public interest, read public opinion in that, of which judicial cognizance can be taken by the learned judge. He will say that it's outrageous, it's shocking what has transpired. A message needs to be sent out to deter not only Oscar, individual deterrence, but the public from doing this type of thing. Gun-related offences, I think, will come into play. And then Oscar's particular circumstances. Harry, I believe, will argue he wasn't remorseful. If he was remorseful, he would have pleaded guilty to culpable homicide. The mere fact that ex post facto, after the fact, he was crying, etc., etc., he will argue he doesn't believe that was remorse.
Okay, now after the arguments, from your experience as a criminal law attorney, how long should we expect the sentencing to happen? When should we expect it to happen? Judge Masipa has already indicated she's not available in the next couple of weeks. Can a special exemption be made to fast track the sentencing? This trial has been going on for quite a long time now.
Dan, yes, it has, but it's been fascinating for the public, for you, for myself. I believe she'll reserve judgment. I believe we're looking at early in November, probably between the 10th and the 12th. That would be my guess. And the sentencing will take a day.
And sentencing will take a day?
Yes, it'll take a day.
And in making that sentence, should we expect her to make sure that the context is understood properly? Because when she did the verdict, people were sort of critical that she was running through it. She didn't consider all kinds of things. Do we expect her to ponder a little bit more in that day of sentencing?
Dan, I've got no doubt that she will. She'll follow the so-called Zinn triad about achieving the right balance, proportionality, the elements looking at the interests of society, the offender, prevention, retribution, reformation, and deterrence. I think she'll deal with all those facts And then it's a very individual approach. If you have a different judge, they'll reach a different decision.
Okay, my producer is shouting at me to say that the time is out now, but let me just
problem.
ask you one more very quickly. After that, appeal, how long does it take? Do they indicate immediately, the defense, to say, we are appealing the sentence now? Or do they go away, study the sentencing and everything and come back and say, we're going to appeal? How does it work normally?
I think they'll study it first, but I think we're in for, not a surprise. We're expecting the state to appeal on a point of law. To apply, remember, you don't automatically appeal. You apply for leave to appeal. There must be a reasonable prospect of success. So I think they'll go away and then they'll come back.
And who hears that application for leave to appeal?
The very same judge.
The very same judge.
Judge Masipa.
Okay, thank you very much. That's criminal law attorney Cliff Alexander.